Are we recording?
So today we have with us Michael Douglas, celebrity hairdresser. So welcome, Michael.
Thank you very much for having me, as it were.
We've also got our special guest, Salva Bjornsson, our CEO.
Thank you for having me as well.
Sorry, is he the special guest or am I the special guest?
You're the special guest.
Okay.
You're the special
Just wanted to
guest.
check
And then
that
we've
out,
got
yeah.
special guest.
So are you not here every week or every month?
No, I spend probably more time than anywhere in Sao Paulo in Brazil, where we have a few clinics, and then I come here every 2-3 months.
So do you live in Sao Paulo?
Yeah, within brackets. I spend 6 months of the year there, and all the 6 I'm on the road. Really, I feel like a rock star.
Okay.
Touring.
Yeah, well, you look like a rock star. And where are you from originally?
Iceland.
Iceland, okay.
Been quite
Couldn't pick it.
lived in Spain, lived over here, so I think I picked up accents from different parts. That's why it's difficult to pin it down.
Yeah. Weather's a bit different in Brazil.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a little bit.
Cooler over there now.
Yeah.
But it's nice to meet you both. Thanks for having me on.
No, it's great. I mean, a lot of our listeners know you. They've probably seen you in the one show, as well as this morning as well.
Yeah. Try and do me bit. I'm on Gogglebox this week, actually.
Wow.
We recorded Gogglebox last weekend. And I've always liked Gogglebox, and they've asked us to do it for the last few years, but we've always said no for one reason or another. But this year I thought, go on, be a good laugh.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you familiar with Gogglebox? No?
No, I recognize the name, but I don't remember.
It's a big TV show on Channel 4 where people get filmed watching.
Oh yeah. I've seen it. Yeah.
So it's not replicated around the world in various forms.
So what was the subject matters about?
On Gogglebox, I think we watched, like you watch game shows or nature programs. We watched Below Deck. Are you familiar with Below Deck?
Yeah.
So that was quite an eye opener, that particular episode. And then, a game show called The 1%.
Oh, wow.
With what I thought was Bradley Walsh, but it turned out to be Lee Mack. Told you how good I am at watching TV. And then a nature program. Boris Johnson's resignation was part of the thing as well, which is always a worry when they get you to comment politically on anything, because you think, someone's going to want to kill me once I've said something in disgrace or something in favour of Boris Johnson. It's a lose-lose, But anyway, so that goes out this Friday. So when does this go out?
Next couple of weeks' time.
Couple of weeks' time. Okay, so you'll have to watch Gogglebox on
We
camera,
will,
ladies and gentlemen.
definitely.
But, yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about you. Where did it all start then? So you've been in the hairdressing trade for 30 years?
Yeah, it'd be 35 years, I think.
Wow.
I think it was this 22nd of April, 1989, I think. So, I think it's probably about 35 years.
Crazy.
And then I just needed to do something. I was finishing school. I didn't really know what to do. I wasn't particularly academic. I didn't like writing or anything like that. So I knew I was just going to get a job doing something with my hands. My brother had become a builder, and that looked rubbish. Hairdressing was full of women, which I was keen on. And it looked good fun. You got to wear nice clothes, talk to nice people, all that stuff. So it was a very easy decision, really, to make. And it was one of those things where you didn't really need any academic qualifications, So my mum said, well, there's a job going for an apprentice in the local hair salon. Why don't you give him a ring? So I did, and then I was a Saturday boy there. So I went after school in the evenings, and then every Saturday, and then they paid me, 20 quid a week or whatever.
Yeah,
I bloody loved it, it was absolutely brilliant. And my brother just was really irritated with me because he had to work on building sites in December, and I just got to work with like 17 very hot women. And I was 15, it was just like brilliant, But I just saw it as something to do, really. I didn't see it as a career particularly until much later when I met a hairdresser called Gary Spencer who'd worked at Vidal Sassoon's and he'd worked in America, and he had a real kind of entrepreneurial brain about him. And he was like, do you want to do this or not? And if you do, then this is what we need to do. You need to dress a bit differently. You need to take more care of your equipment. You need to start sectioning hair more neatly. And then I started to take it more seriously, like as a proper career rather than just a job. And I really kind of thought, I really like this, It's the closest thing to being a kind of pop star without having to sing. Like you could wear nice clothes, people really liked you, and you could generate money from doing a kind of act of kindness,
Yeah,
and
see some smiles, Yeah,
I just thought this is really good. I was a pop star as well, though, just so
really?
You know. Yeah, I was the singer in a band, and that's what I really wanted to do, really. There was a band at the time called In Excess. I don't know if you remember them.
Yes.
They were an Australian rock
Love it.
band. They were my favourite band. And I essentially wanted to be Michael Hutchence,
Right.
who tragically ended up killing himself in about 1997. But he had just had really cool hair and really cool clothes, and he had a kind of effeminate rock star vibe about him. And I thought, oh yeah, that's for me.
So what do you sing or
I was a
do you
singer.
play? Yeah, cool.
Played the piano, played the guitar, but it just didn't really work out. But I remember at 23 years old, I thought, okay, I need to just become a proper hairdresser and stop faffing about with all this music. So that was the game changer, really. I moved to London, got a job as a teacher for Weller,
Wow.
and I thought, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try and be like Sam McKnight or one of these big session hairdressers, travel the world, do celebrities, models, actors, superstars, and have a really good time. And that's what I did.
What's the difference in products these days? Is it changed much since the old times when you first started?
It's the most disappointing bit about my industry is how little innovation is
Wow.
there. To give you an example, the greatest hair tools that have ever been built have been made by the vacuum cleaner guy. What is that all about? Why is Shark and Dyson dominating the
it's
hair
true.
tools industry? It's a disgrace, I think, actually, for my industry. It's like it's supposed to be full of these entrepreneurial kind of creative types, full of passion and creativity. Yet you've got the guy who makes the vacuum cleaner
it's
cleaning
crazy.
up on hair tools. So, there's been so little innovation. I think what you could say is they've learned how to market products better,
Yeah.
because you can take the same ingredients that they were using in the 1980s and somehow pretend that they're new and innovative because you've combined them with another ingredient that they had back in the 1980s. And I'm just really tired of that, which is why I brought out my own products, I suppose, in the end, because I was just really bored of working for brands that were largely selling it's not a lie as such, but it's just the same stuff in a new way, And I just thought, I think innovation within the hairdressing industry has been very poor. And I've been in it 35 years, and I would say the key ingredients that I rely on today are the same ingredients I was relying on in 1989, which is usually like PVA, VA copolymer that's in mousse, hairspray, and gel. Still the best thing for holding hair, probably. And things like dimethicone and stuff like that in conditioners, still makes it slippy and slidey.
So you still use some of your old products when you...
Oh, yeah. I mean, they're in new
Original.
packaging now.
Yeah, of course.
But if you looked at the ingredients list of those products and found some old stuff from the 80s, you'd be hard pushed to find any difference in them,
Yeah.
And I find that a bit disappointing, really. I guess what we have been able to innovate is new ways of using those products. So new styles, the curl shapes have changed.
Yeah.
Texture has changed in the hair, and people's perception of what looks good and doesn't look good has changed. So that's been quite nice,
Yeah.
But it's fascinating to look back on the 80s and 90s and think, what, that was fashionable?
Well, 80s is back in now, right? Since Stranger Things.
Yeah.
It's sort of like everyone's rocking their hairstyles now. Everyone's...
Yes, but it's done with a sense of irony now, isn't it? It's like, I'm going to look like I'm from the 80s, where in the 80s, it was like, wow, we look like we'd landed from space. Like, you look at people's hair, I'm on Facebook and people send me pictures of me at school or whatever, and you think, bloody hell, we all had perms and, all sorts of scrunchy do's, and women with these huge...
Yeah.
They used to do this thing where they used to pull their hair up like that and put this insert hairspray here and then a hairdryer, and it just used to stay there like that, and that was cool, it was like, wow. So, yeah, there are elements of the 80s coming back, but it tends to be done with a little nod to humour as well.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I'm a bit disappointed is that it feels like since the 80s, we live in a kind of area where there's nothing unique about style and fashion anymore. Everything is just a derivative of the 60s,
The
70s,
past.
and 80s.
Yeah.
Where there's no unique... If you said, what was the 90s... You'd be hard pushed.
Apart from curtains, which have again come back, but
there was some curtains in boy bands. Oasis, which was the kind of mod thing.
Yeah.
But that was a rehash of a 60s thing anyway.
was, yeah.
The Rachel haircut, which you could argue was a kind of 70s haircut anyway. The 80s was the last original decade, I think. And it was nice that I'm a child of that. How old are you?
39.
And how old are you?
48.
48. Yeah, so I'm 50. So we're of a similar age. So you remember the 80s probably quite well.
I think we lived the best times, isn't
It
it?
was
I
the
believe
best
so.
times.
Yeah.
Well, you must have been in Iceland in the 80s.
I was, yeah.
Was there only Bjork?
No, I think Björk was actually more popular outside of Iceland than in
Really?
Iceland. She was
Yeah.
one of those things that was really popular internationally, but maybe not so much in Iceland. She was in this punk band.
Yes.
But before that was quite popular. I think then she got a little bit detached from that. When she became really popular outside, I think the Icelanders embraced her again.
Oh, okay.
But a fantastic artist.
Yeah,
really.
yeah, she's brilliant, wasn't she? I mean, what is there Icelandic hairstyles from the 80s and 90s, or did everybody just wear hats because it's so cold?
Iceland is kind of funny because we used to have an American army base there, and then we are in the middle of nowhere. We're in Europe per se, so I think the culture is a little bit more mixed, American mixed with European. So in that time, I think it was more American than anything. So I think we had this sort of an American styles, but nothing that original. No.
Okay. Very good. And you're only 38.
39.
39.
I can be 38. It's not.
Yeah, great. Good. So it's been an interesting journey. It'd be interesting to see how things play out over the next 5 to 10 years. I think with AI becoming, as being introduced to the world, I'm not worried about AI in the same way that everybody else is. I'm more just fascinated about what it might bring to the industry. I don't think you're going to get robot.
Do you think you're going to get robot haircuts? You
No.
don't? Because
it's not in my lifetime.
Too much creativity.
I've seen it on the internet, this kind of robot sucking up hair and cutting bits off. So it's doable.
They used to have a thing like that. I don't even remember. It was like a vacuum cleaner that you sucked up and then it cut your hair all the...
Yes, I remember that.
Suck and cut. Yeah. It's on Wayne's World. I don't know. Wayne's World. But I've seen the machine do that. It's like a robot that it essentially does that. So it's doable. But most of the pleasure about going to someone to get your haircut is the human interaction.
Of course.
I think.
I mean, we have this in hair transplants as well. There's a robot out there, the Artas robot that does the hair transplant. So it punches in and does all those things. But I think it always comes to that. If you want to get a nice suit, are you going to want something off the rack or do you want it tailored? The tailored one is obviously going to be nicer. And it's the same thing with this. You're not going to have the same experience and the same quality.
Essentially, you could have a robot do some of it, like the bulk of it, and then you would come along and perhaps
do the hairline,
the hairliney bits and the bits that make it look more natural.
Yeah, I hope I never experience that though. I would much rather have a.
Can the robots work well, or have you not seen any successful?
In hair transplants, not really. It's very limited on what they can do, and I mean there is obviously use for the robots if it's an internal surgery where you have to go inside the body, and it's very different. But with hair transplant, you're working very superficially. You're just going a few millimeters into the scalp, so there is really no need for the robot there. So the way I see it, it's a marketing tool. The use for it are not that great. Yeah.
Have you two both had hair transplants?
Yes.
Go first?
Yeah, well, I had mine. I think 2005. I think when I had my
2005.
So long time ago. Filled in the sort of everything there in the front. And that was a eureka moment, if you like. And I was sort of, well, this is amazing. I've been struggling with it for a long time, and at the time there was almost no information. I even went to a salon in Iceland where I was talking about my hair loss, and they wanted to sell me artificial hair implants. And so they take,
what is that?
They have like biofibers, what they call it. So it's basically a wig that's implanted into your scalp, and it obviously doesn't grow. With time, it's going to get pushed out. You're going to get scar tissue, and it's not really practiced much today. There's still a few places doing it, but I was desperate. I just wanted something done. But luckily I didn't go for that and had the hair transplant.
So how thin was your hair though? You could see your scalp and everything, like it was.
I mean, everything here in the front had pushed back. I was pretty much the middle of the scalp here, a few hairs really growing in it, but I was down to just shaving it down to a number one. I couldn't grow with it; just looked terrible,
And how many goes did you get to do that?
So I've had two. I had one originally, which was fantastic, but back in those days, the hair transplants were a lot smaller. We were doing much less hair in a single surgery.
Okay.
So out of vanity more than anything, I don't think I necessarily needed it. I had the second one just to add density and get it a little bit thicker. Then the other part is everything here in the back is still my original hair that hasn't been moved around, but in my family everybody's bald on my father's
they?
side. So yeah, completely bald. So if I don't take care of what I have, I'm gonna need another one in the future.
Okay.
So with the treatments, I'm keeping my hair there and
keeping your hair.
sort of crossing my fingers and hoping this is it. I won't have to do another one.
You've had the old technique as well.
Yeah, I got the strip technique, was on the old technique where you cut out a strip of tissue sort of from ear to ear. It was about 2 centimeters wide. Then you had to stitch everything together, obviously, and it was quite painful. It was, I mean, Chris, you had it as well.
You're the same, yeah. So I'm on number 2. So
that's the old technique.
That's the old technique.
I didn't know that there was a new technique.
Yeah, there is.
Okay, so the old one is they cut a strip out of the back there.
Yeah.
And they kind of harvest it somewhere.
Yeah, you sort of slice it up.
Stitch it together.
Yeah.
And then start taking that and then putting it in here. So what is the new technique?
So the new technique is what's called FUE. So the difference with FUE, the implantation is still all the same, but it's how you harvest the grafts, how you take them from the scalp. So if you think of it's a small punch, about 0.8 millimeters the punch. So we shave the hair down so you can see where the hairs are coming out. You sort of put it around the hair, twist it, and then you can pull out the hair with root and everything in there. So you take one by one.
And you take the kind of follicle.
Take the follicle, whole bit. So the trick with that is you have to extract from quite a large area because you're thinning out the hair. It's not going to grow back where you extract it.
So you extract it like randomly rather than in a line.
So strategically thin it out in the back. So where you have really thick bits, you might extract a little bit more. Where it's fine, you don't touch it. And then you sort of calculate how much you can do there. And then it's the same technique. The incisions are done on the top. Hairs are put in there and they are there permanently. But besides the technique, all the sort of little details, how the angles are done, all the tools are better, and a lot more experience. So it's been a long and Chris just had his second hair transplant now. Is why you can see all those little redness a little bit there.
Yes. So when did you get that?
For your model, 7 weeks ago.
Okay.
So it's still sort of pretty fresh, but I had some gaps here, and I've had new hairs put into here just to fill the gaps in. You do get a little bit of shock loss, so your native hair does actually go
okay,
and just leave, but that will grow
back?
3 months time roughly, and then and what happens is after 10 days you actually look fantastic. You look like all your new hairs are all in, you're looking great, and then they start to shed.
Okay, but that's normal.
Yeah, and then you start to look like this. So you have sort of the red here, and as you can sort of see, I've already got new hairs coming through. So these hairs here.
So that red bit there, that will all be hair eventually.
And it will fade. So the red will fade. It takes on average sort of 3 to 6 months to fade the redness.
Okay.
But once that's faded, it will look normal. And
the
then
redness is is you reacting to this stuff being.
It's implanted into the skin. So in theory, it's affecting by normal. It's healing.
Yeah, and you have a lot of activity within the scalp. So imagine if the hair went down there with everything, the hair shaft is then falling out. The other one is pushing through the scalp. So there's a lot of activity in the scalp. There's a lot of irritation for some time while everything is coming through there. So but
I'm starting to see results already. So it's really quick.
And can I see pictures of you before?
Can you?
Yeah, I don't need to see them now, but maybe
before. Yeah, we can do them later. Yeah, but I did
put them in the video so people can see them more.
Yeah, I think it's a good idea. But so I shaved my head. I mean, I completely took the plunge. My hair was sort of 6 inches on top.
Okay.
And
about this length then, yeah.
And yes, and our staff had great, they had some great pleasure in shaving my hair off. So they shaved it off. And then I started the process. So really, this is 7 weeks of growth, which is I'm lucky. I mean, I've got a high metabolism, so my hair grows really quickly.
Okay.
Which is good.
Yeah,
it grows about an inch a month, so
bloody hell.
Pretty good. So
and can you see round the back where you took it or not? Really?
No.
You see the old scar from his previous hair transplant.
Yeah. So how long ago was that?
A long time ago, probably 9 years ago.
9 years ago. Yeah. So when you were about 30.
Yeah. Yeah.
And were you losing your hair then from quite a young age? Did you feel like it was?
Yeah, probably 23, and it sort of slowed down by the time I was 29.
Okay.
So, and then that was it pretty much. It was pretty lucky. And then, so the first hair transplant, I had a long-haired hair transplant. So they just literally pinned back the hair, so it was your length, you pinned it back, and then they did the front. And that means that there was probably a few little gaps, because ideally what you want to do is you want to shave the head.
Yeah.
So you can really get into it.
Yeah.
So when we did it this time, I wanted just to sort of pretty much bring the hairline slightly down lower. And when they shaved it, there was a couple of gaps there, which they filled in. But I haven't had any more hair loss. I've been pretty lucky. So when they shaved it, it wasn't receding back. It was just a few gaps.
Yeah, it's interesting. So I have a guy who works with me. He's my best friend, really, but he creates all the content for MD London. And he was my TV producer for a long time, but he's progressively got thinner and thinner. And now he's using the flock and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And I did say to him probably about 2 years ago, I said, what are we going to do about your hair then? And he went, oh, you've noticed. I was like, of course I've noticed. That's what I do, you know. Like, he said, oh, God. He said, I just don't know. And he said, I'm about to go on holiday with my new girlfriend. He said, but I don't know if I can go swimming, you know.
Yeah.
Because this whole thing, I'll get out of it with black in the pool and all the rest of it. I
Wow.
said, we've got to get you a hair transplant, man.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah. He said, I just don't know. He said, it's just so embarrassing, you know. And he is a classic case. I mean, he's 53, you know. He's been steadily losing it probably for the last 15 years or so. And he just doesn't want to confront it, really. There's so many reasons why men just don't want to bother with all that stuff. I mean, we're generally quite low maintenance.
Yeah.
When you compare us to some women, you know. And then it's just hard to think I'm going to have to spend all that money and put all that effort into it.
I feel it's more fear than anything that stops people from doing it. It's a sort of concern. Is it going to look good, or is it going to be worth it? Am I going to look, you know, is it going to look silly when I have it done and all of those
the healing
things?
time is a big one. We get a lot of our customers go, how long does it take to heal? Will I look normal? How, you know, and the truth is, within a week to 10 days, you look normal. You know, you look okay. You know, everything's fine.
So what would be the procedure for him, for instance? He would find a clinic that he liked. That could be one of yours.
Yeah.
And then he'd come in for a consultation.
Yeah, very important is to come in for a consultation because you have, I mean, today, for example, there's a lot of clinics in Turkey. People are flying to Turkey or they're flying to somewhere where it's cheaper.
Yeah.
You know, and what happens is they just send a photo by WhatsApp and say, okay, it's going to be this much, you're going to have this many grafts, and that's it. You have to look at a lot of factors. You know, when you're looking at it. You have to look at the size of the area, the type of hair. Is he on any medication? Is the hair loss still ongoing? Because the hair transplant doesn't stop hair loss. It just puts hair back where you've lost it. So let's say if you have a hair transplant, you put everything here in the front, but you don't really do your due diligence. You look at to stop the rest of it. So in 1 year, you're going to have all the hair here, and then there's going to be another gap here in the back because you didn't do it properly. But this industry is a lot better today than it was. There's a lot more clinics out there and more good, a lot more good job.
Has Turkey done you a favor in some way? Because it has somehow exploded the whole idea. More men are getting it done. So more men want it.
Much more taboo, didn't it?
Yeah, yes.
It was scared.
It's not anymore. I mean, those
ring
flights
us up
back from Turkey with everybody on there with white teeth.
Yeah, I saw that.
Shaved heads. I mean, it's quite funny, but it is quite true.
Yeah.
And I now know 20 times more men who've had transplants than I did 10 years ago.
Yeah.
So in some way, I feel like it's done.
I think it has, and what it did in Turkey, what was different, they pushed the surgeries a lot in the beginning because it's not that long. I mean, I was in the business before they really started doing them in Turkey. So everybody think they were invented in Turkey. It's nothing like that. But they were really good at marketing it, and it was in the beginning it was extremely cheap. I mean, they were doing hair transplant for £1,000 in those days, and people thought like, well, okay, if it doesn't work, like I'll lose my £1,000. It's okay. It's not going to be the worst. But what they did is they pushed the graft numbers a lot. So they were doing bigger surgeries that had been done before, and in some ways they overdid it. So they left a lot of damage in the back. But the industry sort of had to catch up, and I think in that way it was actually really good.
A good thing, yeah.
And people now are a little bit more educated than they were a few. So they don't jump just on the new, latest offer that they see just because of the price. And I think they do a little bit more research really when they have a hair transplant. And you want to, you have a hair transplant, you come back to the clinic a few days later, you're going to come back for follow-ups, you're going to, take care of you from the start to finish. And this is obviously difficult to do if you're flying to a different country to the procedure done.
So let's say it comes for a consultation. How much does that cost?
Nothing.
Yeah, free.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So
there
is nothing to lose, and it's important. When somebody comes in, we try to look at all those different factors. Like I said, are you still losing hair?
Yep.
What's the genetics? How's the family pattern? All of this, so we can.
How do you know if they're still losing hair or not? Is it, you do a microscope and just see what the follicles are doing?
Yeah, most people will know, but you'll notice those fine, thin hairs that are thinning. So sometimes it's very obvious, sometimes a little bit more difficult to see. And then very often it follows the family path. Not always, but very often. I mean, we do sometimes get guys and I speak to them and they say, but my dad has a full head of hair, my brother has a full head, and then they're completely bald, and that must be tough. So
yes, my brother is one of them, so he's bald.
Wow.
Oh, he must be jealous.
He's really irritated by me. I sent videos of me doing that.
That's why you've grown your hair.
Yeah. So yeah, it is a bit unfair, but there was always this theory that it followed the maternal line, him from your mother's father, but I'm under the understanding that that's not really accurate.
Not really, no. It can come from either side. But
is it just random?
It seems to be, but what people believe is that this bolt carrying the gene carrying the bolting, is stronger than the other one. Because if you look at pictures from 30 years ago, 50 years ago, you look at 20 years old, there's almost nobody bald. You look at them today, and there's a lot bigger percentage of men that have lost hair.
Really?
So, yeah, a lot more. And I think it can go down to the gene. It's probably lifestyle factors as well. There's more stress and all of those different things, and maybe the diet is not the same. But I think, I think by a big part that's down to the gene. So we seem to be getting bolder. In 100 years, we'll probably all be bald.
Wow, God, I hadn't really considered that. That is really quite fascinating. You said products there. Do you think people putting products on their hair is having an impact on whether they go bald or not?
I think it does affect the quality of hair, doesn't it? I think if you've got harsh products, it's going to affect the quality of hair, and if your hair's already weak, it's not going to survive.
But presumably the products in the scalp, not the hair itself. So this would be products going on the scalp and then seeping into the follicle and perhaps affecting that, or.
I think it's going to be a small factor. I mean, it's definitely a factor, but
100%.
The biggest factor I see is stress. I mean, you see that. You probably see that when people come in, when they go through a divorce, they go through something really tough. You can see their hair just falls out a lot faster. So I think that's probably the worst factor. So you have the genetics, and then you mix the stress in with it, and then you have a really, really bad.
So I've got a little patch of alopecia somewhere.
Yeah,
I don't know where it is now, but yeah, I was going through a divorce.
Yeah,
my mum had got cancer.
Is it regrown or
on the verge of bankruptcy and all sorts of stuff? No, I don't think it has really. I can't actually remember where.
Are you using anything on it?
No, I'm not. I mean, I actually just thought I'm going to forget I've got
about it. Yeah,
just because you can't really see it, And I thought I could feel it starting to creep. It must be on this side somewhere around.
Yeah, you can see it there a little bit.
I can feel it starting to creep closer and closer to my hairline, and I thought, if it gets to the hairline, I'll probably maybe get some minoxidil on there or something and start messing about with it a bit. But because it's an autoimmune thing, I assume that my immune system thinks that it's a problem.
Yeah.
So I started to meditate on the idea that it wasn't a problem. And I would tell my immune system to go get away from my hair, that it's fine, So I did that for a bit.
Yeah.
And then I actually just forgot all about it. And then I realised 6 months later that I've still got it a bit, but it's not.
It doesn't seem that bad. Yeah, we can't really see it.
But that came, I think, can only be as a result of stress. Yeah. And then have you noticed anything related to COVID or the vaccines or anything like that?
Related to COVID, yes. There's quite a lot of, especially women. We notice this more with women. That they have finer hair. They've been falling out in flocks. But the same as with the alopecia, like you had, it usually comes back either on its own or with treatment. We can usually speed it up to get it growing a little bit faster.
And what do you use to speed it up?
So we use a lot of our injectable therapy. So we do PRP. This is plasma-rich platelets, where you take that from the blood and you spin it in. That works very well. It's just regenerative, so it helps everything. And we do mesotherapy, where we mix in finasteride, minoxidil, vitamins, different growth factors. Okay. And it just sort of speeds up the hair. It's not going to grow you necessarily new hair, but where the hairs are weak or they're not really coming out, it gets them growing a lot faster. So these are the treatments we use quite a lot, and we have had a lot of women, like you say, after COVID, we've seen quite a bit of that.
And why is that, do you think? Is it just because COVID affects the immune system, and the immune system starts to malfunction slightly, and then the hair suffers?
I think it must be. I mean, I don't think we can sort of correlate it directly, but like we said, when it comes to stress, your immune system is going to go down. You're going to get weaker. Same thing with this. The hair is. I mean, it looks like something simple when you look at it, but it's fascinating, really, what it can do and how important it is for us, isn't it?
Yeah. And how it grows. I mean, it is a representation of your general health and well-being. I think,
yes.
When you look at somebody's hair. It's interesting. So, I mean, I feel like I'm getting thinner and thinner here, which is probably quite normal as you get older, isn't it?
Yeah.
I've always had a great big forehead. I think, bloody hell, it's big. And when I'm drunk, and I'm just brushing my teeth to go to bed, I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad. And then other days, I think it's exactly the same as it was 5 years ago. I don't know what I'm talking about. You know,
it doesn't look any different. I mean, you know.
Yes, I don't.
I used to watch you 8
get,
years ago, and it looks the same pretty much.
You get paranoia must play a big part
Yeah.
in the whole psychology of it with people, where they come and feel like they're going bald, but they're actually not.
Yeah.
Could you stumble across that?
You get a lot of it.
A lot of it.
A lot of it. And a lot of people just don't want to accept it as well. I mean, they tell us, you know, I still have hair, you know, I got plenty of hair. And then they send in the picture and there's nothing on top and they're combing it over to the side. And
We do.
Yeah.
People go, yeah, I've got fantastic hair. And you sort of look at them and go, okay, let's get real, you know, because you have to.
Yeah. So your hairline at the front, looks like it's been plugged in a way that it's growing upwards.
Yeah.
I guess you can manipulate the hairline a bit, can you, by the angle?
I think it's the way I dry it, to be honest. I've been drying it like that. But yes, you can. I mean,
You've been drying it? Like
No, I've just been drying my
with
hair
a
and it
towel
sort of
or
goes
with a
up with a
hairdryer?
towel.
With a towel, okay.
Yeah, so it sort of does stick up a bit. My hair always does, though.
Yeah.
But yeah, we do actually work with the pattern of the hair that you've already got.
Okay, so you can see it.
Yeah.
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 You can see the transplanted hairs here and the ones further back. The angles are quite similar.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
on the back and the front. But if you see somebody that had a hair transplant in the 90s, they would just plant it straight down, and it was just like spiky hair all straight
Yeah.
up.
Yes, I've seen quite a few. Yeah.
When it gets to a certain length as well, mine just goes, just because it's pretty much procus straight.
Okay.
So it just goes like that. But it's the difference between a good hair transplant and a bad one. You know, you've got to put them in the right direction.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you shouldn't be doing to your hair after you've had it transplanted? Like, what products should you avoid, or
All products for now. Yeah, first month, isn't it?
Well, yeah. I mean, we talk about 2 to 4 weeks where you have to be really careful. I mean, we exaggerate it a lot because we want you to take care of it, and some people never listen. But you know, you want to keep out of the sun. You don't want to have direct sun going onto the scalp. You don't want to rub it with any products like minoxidil or other products. Not in the beginning. No, you want to just give it a little bit time to heal.
Yeah.
Now, when you get to the stage like where Chris is now, once you've had it done, you just forget about it. You don't need to do anything different.
I've not used any product, but I'm
it's
just on
just
the
your
safe
hair.
side. Yeah.
It's
So
just
you
been
don't
taken.
have to take any medication or anything like that.
For the transplanted hair, no.
No.
But if you're in case like, let's say with Chris, he's put it in the front and then you got the hair in the back. For that hair, you might need to have products depending on the family pattern.
What would be the medication that you would take?
I mean, usually the
Finasteride, is it?
finasteride or dutasteride are quite good. And
What's the other one called?
Dutasteride.
Dutasteride.
It's very similar, has a similar function.
Okay.
And then you got the minoxidil,
Yes.
which has been around for, it was the first FDA-approved medication for hair loss. The minoxidil tends to work better here on the crown and on the back area. It doesn't tend to work very well on the frontal area.
Oh, really?
And the finasteride works on the whole top. The main problem is that you can have side effects with finasteride that
Yes.
are not very attractive. So we get a lot of people when we talk to them about the possible side effects that it can affect their libido, it can lower your sperm count, and they say, no, I would rather be bald than facing that. But it's very rare. I have to say that.
Okay.
You know.
But there is the possibility of lowering your libidos.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is. And we do have people that
It's quite a
experience.
worry, that, isn't it?
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
I like my libido.
So you have to hair or libido.
Yeah, I know.
There is, yeah.
You can look good, but
It's only sort of 2% of the
sex.
population though, and
2%.
yeah,
Oh,
around
really?
that.
So it's pretty small.
And you can lower the dosage as well, because actually half a tablet will do the job. So you
Okay.
can do half a tablet a day for finasteride. That will do the job.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And then you can pop a bag.
possibly, yeah. You know, that's the thing. But they do oral minoxidil as well now, so you can take it. Yeah, it's by tablet.
And
So
is that better or worse or not so good? Do you not know?
take it, aren't you?
Yeah, I mean, it was taken orally in the beginning when it came. Then it went over to the liquid, and now it's going back to the
Okay.
tablet. I think it's more of the minoxidil works very well when it's applied topically, but
Yes.
you need to apply it 2 times a day. So I think men especially are not very good at following a regimen where they have to do it. So you do it maybe once, then you don't forget it the next day. So this is why you maybe don't get the results with the topical one, which you're going to get with the other one. If you're just taking 1 capsule a day, is a lot easier.
So let's say I've come for a consultation and we decide that you're going to do some hair.
Do your
out.
corners, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I want. What's the next step?
So next step is looking at your medical history, see if you're taking any medication, if there's anything that might complicate the surgery. It's a small surgery, but you still have to take all those safety measures. Select the dates and book you in. And Surgery is done all in one day, so you come.
So you could do the whole thing in one day.
Come in the morning, go home in the afternoon after the surgery. You have local anesthesia, so you don't really feel any pain.
Okay.
You watch. I mean, when we're planting the grafts, you're watching TV. You can catch up on the latest shows, and
And you stood up, or you let down, like
sitting down, sort of.
sitting down with your head back.
Yeah.
So the
Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like to know. And how long am I being plugged for? I guess it's different for different people.
But usually about 6 to 8 hours.
6 to 8 hours.
And
Is that what you did?
Yeah,
Yeah.
around that. 8 hours.
Okay.
Yeah, and if you imagine we're extracting hair follicles, we're extracting sometimes 4,000 to 5,000 in one go.
Yes.
We have to extract them all, then we have to make the incision, put them in one by one. So it's very detailed, it's very laborious.
You need breaks as well.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But for whoever is having the hair transplant, I think it's quite a relaxed day. But there is a lot of work in,
Yeah,
you'll see there is a whole team working around there, going in.
Feel minimal pain. It's good.
Mm-hmm.
It's very good.
And then how much is it, like, say, for the amount that you've had done?
Oh, it's probably around 4,000, 4,500 pounds.
Yeah.
For the amount I've had done.
And have you had a lot done?
No, not really at all. No, not really at all. I've had around sort of 1,800 grafts, so not really. It's sort of more of the lower side.
Okay.
To what we do.
Okay, so, and then what would be the most you would move? 4,000, 5,000?
Yeah.
But you need a really good candidate to move those high numbers, because as you remember, we're thinning out the hair in the back. So if it has good density, we can take quite a lot. If the density isn't that good, we have to be more conservative.
So on average, you're shifting what, 2,000 or 3,000?
Yeah, I would say 2,500 to 3,000.
Yeah, that's our average.
And then how much is that? How much are you charging for that?
Talking somewhere in the region of 4 to 5K.
Yeah. 4 to 5,000.
Yeah.
It's
So
right though, isn't it? Most people I speak to think it's 10 grand.
For Harley Street as well. Yeah.
I mean,
yes, exactly.
They used to publish in I remember when Wayne Rooney had his hair transplant, I remember it came out in the media saying 30,000.
30,000.
Everybody had 30,000. I don't know where they got this figure from. I don't think there's charged anywhere. But
it used to be about 10 for a large job, didn't it?
Yeah, when we started doing the FUE technique, the new technique, it was very slow. So sometimes you needed 2 days to do what we do now in 1 day. So the prices were higher.
Things have moved forward.
Yeah.
And how many clinics have you got?
So 36 all over the world today, which is
we have,
I have a lot here in the UK. We have quite a few locations.
Quite a few, yeah, including Manchester, which we're just opening to.
Okay, so you've got
as a surgery.
How many in London? 1 or 2?
One in London, so in Harley Street, and then we've got sort of Bristol, Birmingham, Newcastle.
Okay.
Dublin, Belfast.
Dublin, yeah. Oh, good. Yeah, I've got lots of people who weirdly follow me.
Yeah, Scotland as well. We've got.
And the thing is, hair loss is very universal. It doesn't really matter if you're in England, you're in Africa, or wherever you are. Nobody wants to go bald.
Nobody wants to go bald, do they? Yeah. God, it's really interesting that you say that more people are going bald now than they were, 50, 60 years ago. And I never really thought about that, but it'd be fascinating to see why.
Yeah.
What seems to be going on. It must be food related, right? We eat a lot of processed rubbish, basically.
We do, yeah. Lots of theories, though, isn't there?
I think it's multifactorial. I think there's a lot of things that play into it, but I think there are very few favorable factors for our hair now. It's more. It has more of a battle of staying there in place now.
Yeah.
Have you thought about collaborating with a hair salon or something like that? Because it strikes me as though most people go to the hairdressers for advice about their hair.
Yeah.
And most people who are losing their hair do not come and see you.
Yeah.
And they should. That's what they should do, And what happens to hairdressers is they end up making up a lot of information about hair loss and why it happens.
Solution is always a shampoo when it's not.
Yeah,
it's not.
Buy this, it makes a big difference. That caffeine shampoo.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. And I can see that just by the sheer volume of people who ask me questions about hair loss. And I always think, why are you asking me? Like, I'm not a hair loss person, Why don't they come to you? I don't understand why there seems to be a barrier to people coming to you.
We've done work with the barbers.
Any particular barbers, though, or have you collaborated?
We've collaborated with a few barbers, 100%. So we've got probably about 10 barbers that we collaborate, and we've seen some, great results from them guys. And we're always looking to expand that. And We've done a couple of like beauty therapists.
Mm-hmm.
We've worked at, I think, one hair salon.
Okay.
So we are looking at that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you're right. Spot on.
Yeah, I mean, I do these Instagram lives every so often where I get people on, so it'd be good to do one of them with you one night.
Yeah,
It's the amount,
100%.
just like I say, the sheer volume of my followers that say,
Yeah.
"Can you do something on hair transplants?" And of course, I have the trichologist on, but she's not the hair transplant
No.
person. And then there's lots of women asking for their husbands, and then lots of women asking for themselves. you know.
Yeah, definitely.
Are you transplanting female
Yes.
hair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We do that as well.
Lowering the hairline's a big one at the moment. So lower the hairline by about an inch.
An inch.
And of course, the hairline's totally different. So on a woman, it's more like an upside down horseshoe. So we tend to than a guy.
like that?
It's in terms of the shape's completely
More round,
different.
sort of.
Yeah, it's more rounded.
like
So it's different. But the demand's there for that at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I see lots of women that say, "I'd love to get this bit."
We
done."
do eyebrows as well.
You do eyebrows, really?
Yeah, we do.
Oh wow!
Eyebrows, beard as well.
Beards,
That's
some
big one.
I
eyelash
need a bloody
transplants.
beard transplant. I need somebody else's beard. You know, I'm so
enough donor
patchy
area.
and bald around here. I haven't got enough. You'd create another bald patch. So you do beards though. People are asking.
Yeah, great results, aren't
Yeah,
they?
very
Fantastic.
But you
results.
take it from the scalp. You use the hair. You don't take from the beard itself. So you extract from the hair the same as you do with a hair transplant.
So it isn't like pubic hair then. It's like hair.
It's hair, but the hair tends to grow differently with time. So when you implant it, the same as when you put it into eyebrows. So once you put it in, you try to select the hair that's the closest to the eyebrow there. And over time, the hair tends to adapt to it. So if it's in the beard, it tends to grow a little bit thicker with
it
time,
does.
and it tends to grow
Really?
thinner
About
here.
10 months,
Yeah.
it starts to change.
Oh my god, that's
So,
amazing.
as I'm saying, the hair is fascinating. It's quite a
change.
mechanism. It's incredible what it can do.
After a hair transplant, the first year, you sort of it sort of seems slightly different. The texture seems
Yes.
different, but within 2 years, after sort of 2 years, it starts to take the same characteristics as
your
your
ordinary
native hair. So it just yeah.
Wow,
it's
that is
insane.
really amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, takes a bit of time,
Yeah.
doesn't it? Change.
So, I mean, I know the answer to this, but I don't know why this is the case. You can't transplant somebody else's hair into your own head.
Yeah, your immune system is going to attack it. It's
It will.
a foreign thing in your
body.
body. It's going to try to get rid of it. So this has been tried with identical twins and everything.
Really?
That
Even with
doesn't grow.
identical twins?
Doesn't grow. No.
So they can have successful lung transplants and kidney transplants and things like that. I realise
But you're going to be on medication.
you're on medication.
Medication.
To
Yeah.
stabilize it, yeah.
Could you, though, in theory, then take that medication and have somebody else's hair?
You probably
not worth it.
probably could, but the risk and reward ratio probably wouldn't really be favorable in that.
Are we going to get to a point where you can harvest somebody's own hair, like on a piece of protein or something
Correct,
like
yeah.
that?
This has been something that they've been talking about for a long time.
Yes.
You know, stem cells. You know, multiply it, and it's been tried, and they always say it's we're going to be able to do it in X amount of time, but I haven't seen anything anywhere close to it. So who knows in the future? But
Okay.
I don't think we're going to see that any day in the next 5 to 10 years. It's not going to happen.
Ask AI to sort that out.
Possibly,
Tell
yeah.
us
Try.
what to do. Yeah.
You can use body hair though to put on top.
Can you?
Yeah.
I haven't got any. I'm like
Or whatever's left
13-year-old boy,
left of your
basically.
beard.
I haven't got any body hair at all.
But yeah, no, we can. So we can do it. We can do it in reverse.
What I would like is to take hair from my head and put it onto my chest.
We've done that.
Have you done that?
We've done that, yeah.
The Austin Powers look. Is that what you're after?
Only in Brazil, though, probably. Where
It was in Dubai. No,
In
in
Dubai.
Dubai. So
You wanted a hairy
he
chest.
had like full head of hair. It was an Arab guy that didn't have anything on his chest, and his dream was to go to the beach and be like with a really hairy chest. So we did that for him. But that's
My
we're gonna-
dream.
Yeah. The only problem is it's going to grow long because your scalp hair is going to grow longer, so you can grow it
Exactly.
down to your toes if you want
Braid
to.
it,
Even better.
all sorts of things. But presumably the theory would be that hair would eventually adopt.
Adapt with time, yeah, over
With
time.
time.
It's not gonna stop growing, but it's gonna grow a lot slower than.
Oh, okay. God, I mean, that is really funny. I mean, I'm trying to keep fit for the main reason that because I have no hair to disguise my slightly flabby body now, I've no other option other than to get fit. I would love just to grow a load of hair.
We
and then I
can.
could
We
be a
can
bit
do it.
fat.
We can do it.
Can you?
Yeah.
Take a long time. I've only got a small body.
Talk to us about your products that you've got.
Yeah, so basically, for the last 25 years, I've worked in what you call consumer retail, really. So I've been a hairdresser, but I've been working for Procter & Gamble and L'Oreal,
Yeah.
companies like that. I've worked on brands like Pantene and Head and Shoulders and Aussie and Clairol's Nice and Easy and stuff. I wanted to work in advertising, really. I wanted to do the hair in big TV commercials. When I used to watch them on the telly, I used to think, I could do better than that. Or, they shot that in the Maldives. I want to work in the Maldives. Like, it just seemed so glamorous. The budgets were big, and I loved the idea of it. So I specifically went to work in consumer products, and then started to see, just, I guess, how good some of them were, actually. I was quite surprised how, I would say some of the best shampoos you could probably buy in the world are on the shelves in supermarkets.
Yeah.
They're not on the shelves in hair salons.
Really?
Hairdressers think they are, but they're wrong.
And hair colours are similar now, aren't they, to what they were in the
I
box hair colours?
For Weller for a long time, who were owned by Procter & Gamble, who owned Clairol.
Yeah.
So, you'd go and work in the R&D department there, and I'd go and colour test various shades. And, the chemist guy who's made Colliston, the professional hair dye, is the same guy who's making Clairol Nice and Easy.
Wow.
He's not reformulating a whole new hair dye. He's just slightly adapting the quality of this to work for a consumer or to work for a professional, But the idea that these products are completely different, it's just like crazy. You could look at the ingredients list for yourself. You could see that they're exactly the same product. So hairdressers have this idea that somehow anything you buy in the supermarket is toxic and full of rat poison.
Yeah,
and it's going to kill you. And everything that's on their shelves is somehow, full of fairy dust. It's just not true. In fact, if you take a brand like Pantene, it's $1 billion selling brand. If you just took 1% of that sales and put it into R&D, you've got, £100 million budget on R&D. You're not going to make, fairy liquid with that. You're going to try and make the best shampoo you could ever make, because L'Oreal are trying to do the same and Schwarzkopf are trying to do the same. It's highly competitive. So I think the formulations that are in some of those shampoos are actually brilliant. So it was just a very interesting place to work, really, and it was so different from working in professional hairdressing. But all the time I kept thinking, I've got to come up with an idea for a brand, because now I know the retailers, I know all the PR agencies, I know all the beauty journalists, and I understand the strategy about how to bring a product to market. I just don't know what to bring to market, So for a long time, I was trying to come up with concepts or ideas, that what people would say to you is, I'd go to Boots or something and I'd say, I'm going to launch a product range, my own product range. And they'd say, well, who is Michael Douglas, first of all? Who are you? And I just think, I'm a cheeky northern hairdresser, who will give you salon quality hair at home. And they go, yeah, well, Charles Worthington can do that.
Yeah.
I go, okay, well, I'm the anti-frizz guy. I'll get rid of frizz. And it's like, John Frieda does that. I'm like,
what do you do?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, I'm a celebrity hairdresser. I'm well known. It's like, yeah, well, Lee Stafford is. I'm like, okay. Like, Jesus, what am I doing? Who am I? And I would think, I don't actually know, but I thought it is a good question that if you are thinking about bringing a brand to market, they used to say, well, what problem is Michael Douglas
have a USP
solving for women that isn't currently being solved by everybody else? And I thought, well, until I can answer that question, I'm not going to launch anything, And then I had this show on The One Show for a long time, which is a TV show over here. I don't know if you're familiar with it or not, but it's 7 o'clock on BBC One. Did about 7 million viewers a night. I was on it usually once or twice a week. And I did this show called The Street Barber, where I cut people's hair in the street.
Yeah.
And it was a kind of nifty idea where you were actually a facilitator for an interview rather than a haircut. The haircut was like neither here nor there, but what you got to do was to talk to somebody. So you could find yourself on, a German army base or something like that, talking to a lot of American soldiers as they came back from Afghanistan. And they would really talk to you about their experience in Afghanistan in a way they wouldn't have done a journalist, because you're cutting their hair or their wife's hair, they would somehow tell you stuff. So you got these really intimate interviews out of it. It was really good. But people used to stop me in the street and say, oh, I've seen you on the telly. You're the guy who can cut hair anywhere. Because I used to cut people's hair up a mountain or on a helipad or on a bloody cross-channel ferry.
Made a lot of people happy, though. I always remember them looking amazing. I thought, wow, they look great.
They were very happy, yeah.
Totally different.
It was a really good show. But people used to say this phrase to me all the time. And one day I thought, I know who I am. I'm the guy who does hair anywhere. And I thought, wouldn't it be good if you could do anything to anybody's hair anywhere? Because my job is restricted by a plug socket and water. My job to style somebody's hair means making it wet and then doing something while it dries. And you need heat for that. You need a plug socket for that. So I came up with this concept called Your Hair Anywhere. And it was, you could do anything to your hair in under 10 minutes without a plug socket, without any water. And I pitched it to Boots, and they were like, this is the greatest thing we've ever heard. We're in, pitched it to 3 or 4 other people, they were in. I pitched it to an investor, and he was like, how much money do you want? Yeah, we're in, So with this concept was this hairstyling device that had a battery-operated handle that could disconnect, and that handle could connect to other devices as well, a bit like a power tool. So you could essentially carry these things around with you in your handbag, or you could just style your hair at home with them. It wasn't that they would travel. It was just that you're not stuck to a plug socket anymore.
No,
you're just free. You style your hair anywhere. And then there was 4 or 5 dry styling sprays. So you could spray your hair, curl it, straighten it, put it up. You'd have some curvy grips and things like that. And I would give you Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday hairstyles on Instagram or on the website. But none of them would require water. None of them would require a plug socket.
Wow.
If you bought your hair anywhere. Good idea,
I'm
right?
all in. Yeah.
You're in. It's brilliant. So we raised 2 million quid worth of investment, and then COVID came along and wiped us out. And every car manufacturer in the world bought every battery in the world for 4 years. They mass bought.
Yes.
So we were out of batteries. The price of aluminium went up something like 680%. So we couldn't make aluminium barrels or handles or anything for this thing.
So it killed it.
Literally, it became obsolete. So I was a bit like, Jesus. My big idea that I've been spending 30 years trying to come up with is now slightly done, So the one thing that happened around that time, though, was Dyson brought out the supersonic
Yes,
hairdryer
I remember.
at 330 quid. And I just thought it was atrocious that they were going to charge hairdressers and consumers £330 for something that blows hot air. I was just like, this is just unbelievable.
I remember getting it on a present list, and I thought, oh, yeah, I'll buy that. And then have a look it up, and it was like, what? How much is this hairdryer?
Yeah. So, I was like, there's got to be an alternative out there for this, And again, on Instagram, I got lots of questions and people saying, I want to buy a Dyson, but I can't afford it. What do you recommend? And I was recommending this little Italian hairdryer called a Calexia. It's a little 2,000 watt thing.
Yeah.
Quite heavy and a bit noisy, but I liked it and I used it as a professional. So I was recommending that to a lot of people. And then this friend of mine who imports lots of stuff from China said, I'm going to import you some hairdryers, and you can have a look and see if you like any of them. And he sent me this one that I loved. I was like, Jesus, this is the best hairdryer I've seen, So I went back and said, could I make it in different colours? Could you put different buttons
Yeah,
on
I saw
it?
that. Your signature colours you got.
Yeah.
Nice.
So they sent me some prototypes and I used it for about 6 months and I was like, this is it. This is brilliant. I want to use this hairdryer all the time. I can only assume other people would. It's a really good alternative to Dyson. It's not just a vacuum cleaner that's been reversed. And
it's blue, and it's blue or green as well.
So yeah, blue or green. We've got a pink one coming out in September and
Cool.
then a kind of a very whitey looking blue one that comes out next year. That's going to be an exclusive for QVC. So it was really good, and I felt like I was doing a proper service because people didn't want to spend the Dyson, but they did want what they call a brushless DC motor in a hairdryer, which is what this is, which is usually quieter, more powerful, less energy consumption and stuff like that. So we launched that, and it went great guns,
Brilliant.
So we sold out probably earlier this year. We've just had another batch landed, and they're selling really well. And then I thought, okay, what I'd like to do really is specialize in tools, and that's largely because all hairstyles are created with tools. People think they're created with product. They say, I want curls. What product should I buy? It's like, there's not a product you need. There's a curling wand or a diffuser for your hairdryer, but a bit of mousse is not going to make your hair curly. You have to make it curly. The mousse will hold the curl, perhaps, and it might give it some definition or whatever, but it's not going to make it curly. What I realized is that I couldn't do my job without tools, but I could easily do it without products. And I loved that idea because all of a sudden you were selling a truthful solution that with this product, whether it be a straightener, a curler, or a dryer, you will get this result, this, that, and the other. Most people want more volume, more shine, less flyaways, no frizz, a curl. All of that you can do with a blow dry. All of it you can do with a good blow dry. You can't buy any of that in a bottle, as far as I can tell. I've never found a bottle of anything that will give you frizz-free hair. John Frieda's Frizzies does not ease the frizz. It just makes the frizz shiny.
Yeah.
But if you use it in conjunction with a good blow dryer, you will get really smooth hair. But you do need a bloody blow dryer, So what I like about the whole tools thing is that you are offering people a genuine solution. It does solve a problem, and it's a truthful proposition. And I realize what I've got to do in selling it is also teach people how to use it. And one thing I have learned to do over the last, 15 years of being on telly is I'm quite a good communicator. I can tell people, and I was a teacher for 12 years of hairdressing, I can teach people how to do it. And that's the thing I find most joyous about what we do is when people go, I followed your tutorial, I bought your hairdryer, my hair's never looked so good.
And it worked.
And I was like, oh my God, I'm so happy about that. And I always say, send me a picture and I'll post it for you, So I usually put it on my stories for them or whatever, because, that's what I really want. The hairdresser fixes the problem on the day, but what about the next day and the next day and the next day?
Ongoing,
I think that's the bit I slot into. So I'm a big fan of consumer products. I'm a big fan of the supermarket stocking good products. And I'm a big fan of people doing their own hair. And if hairdressers are worried that somehow that is taking business from their salon, then they're not very good.
No.
Because you shouldn't, a box dye can't compete with a colorist. Somebody blow drying their own hair can't compete with a professional hairdresser.
Of course.
So if they're worried about that, they either need to up their game or just stop worrying about it. It's like people want to go to the hairdressers. They don't want the responsibility of their own hair. They want to pay you so you do it. So do a good job and people will come to you. You don't need to worry about all that. You don't need to worry about me or my products or Nice and Easy or Garnier. It's not an issue for you. These things, people are doing their own hair because they have no choice.
Yes.
They'd much rather go to you. They just can't afford it or they haven't got the time or whatever. That's not your fault, So yeah, that was the idea behind the brand, really. So yeah, I've got
your new straightener, yeah.
Yeah, so these just landed.
It's released.
Just today, in fact.
Are these in your two colours?
These are in the two colours. So I think I brought a set, a green set.
Oh, nice.
Set,
yeah.
So that's them. So
Smart.
I just wanted them essentially to look, kind of a bit different. I mean, it's hard to reinvent the straightener because the straightener does a very good job. So
yeah.
What we did want to do is put decent QR codes on everything.
Yes.
So when you scan that QR code, I tell you all the reasons of why you should buy that.
That's brilliant.
Most QR codes just go to a website somewhere.
Yeah.
It's like they're pointless, So that is a video of me basically saying, you have scanned straight, and this is why you should buy it.
This is how you can use it as well.
Yes, well, there's in here there's an instruction leaflet, and on the instruction leaflet that is on a different one of that, and you just scan that, and I will tell you exactly how to use it, and then all the videos and all that. That's
brilliant.
So yeah, I'm trying to kind of literally make it idiot-proof for people,
So why have you made them like this then? Why is this here today?
Well, you can scan the QR code and find out.
Let's do it.
So I specifically designed them this way. I'll tell you for a couple of different reasons, really. I mean, they are just straightening irons, essentially. But what I wanted to do was... So first of all, this is a sleeve that sits on it, but it's also a heat mat as well.
That's good. It's clever.
Down on there, yeah. Because people are always burning their furniture and one thing with these things. So there's that, and then obviously if you wrap that around them like so,
looks
so you
nice,
can put them straight in their bag,
That's clever.
We've got 11 heat settings on there.
Wow.
Going from 230 to 130. And then it was the girth of them, really, that I liked. The flatness there. Because what you find, I don't know if you've seen the Dyson things, but they're about this fat. But if you try and iron your fringe with something that's that far away from your scalp, you put a huge mark in the hair there. It's nice,
Yeah.
You can't get close to the root. You can't get rid of any growth patterns or anything like that. The fact that these are very flat here means that you can iron very, very flat through here. So you find people with bobs that have got the hair growth like a DA at the back, that grows up.
Yeah.
It's a real nightmare, for people to get flat hair there because it sticks straight out, So it was more the design of these that I wanted that were nice and flat there. You've got extra long plates, so it's about 2 centimetres longer than GHD's there, so you can take bigger sections, you get through the hair a little bit faster. But the heat settings are quite important because I think one of the things that you find with people is GHD are always like 180 degrees, that's the optimum temperature for ironing your hair. And you go, well, how long does it take to pass through the hair? And it's different for everybody. Some people take 5 or 6 seconds to pass through the hair. Some people go like that with it, over and over again. So the 180 degrees is neither here nor there. It's the amount of time that 180 degrees is on your hair. So I always think, well, if you're slow, then you can turn them down to 140, 150. Or if you're really fast, you can turn them up to 210.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. The point is you want to remove as much moisture out of the hair as possible to style it, but not too much that you start burning the hair, you know.
Yeah.
So there's that little sweet spot. But that's different for everybody, depending on how you use them and what your hair's like, you know. So I just wanted to, I guess, give people some variation on that, and then just make them to match the dryers, you know, and try and make them look kind of cool. But I never thought I was reinventing the straightener, you know.
No.
It was just that the demand for straighteners was so big, and so many people were essentially saying, when are you doing straighteners? I thought we should probably do a straightener. So again, you know, you do that thing where you essentially get 20 straighteners shipped in from all the different factories in China, and try and work out which one I think is the best one for me.
Yeah.
So the tools I'm making are specific to my needs first, I would say, you know.
So we're going to see these on Davina's hair then?
Oh,
on your
yes.
videos now.
You'll probably see her a lot. I mean, I don't really use straighteners on her hair that much.
Yeah.
But, you know, a lot of people have questioned me today and say, can you put a curl in the hair with these?
Yeah.
The other thing is you can, again, because of the girth of them.
Fantastic.
The Dyson ones are so thick that obviously you can only get a curl
Yeah.
the girth of the straightener. So you could get a very small curl
do
with
it,
these,
yeah.
or you could get a little flick or a little bend with these, or you could get a big curl depending on how well you use them. But I just love the quality of the plastic and the soft
Yeah,
touch of
lovely.
them and all the rest
Thank
of
you.
it. They're super nice. We've got European plug on there as well as a 3-pin plug, so we can start selling them across Europe and
Yeah, nice.
places like that. Yeah, they are super nice. I mean, we've got
Some nice buttons as well.
and again, you know, when I look at the packaging of a lot of hair tools, I absolutely hate it. You know, some model on the pack, you know, that's clearly not styled her hair, you know. And then the
Hair like
Dyson,
mine.
you know, the Dyson stuff, it just looks like a domestic appliance. It doesn't even look like a beauty product, you know. It looks
that's
like a
nice.
vacuum cleaner.
Good finish.
Yeah, they're nice,
They're
aren't
nice. Yeah, light as well.
they? Yeah.
Good.
Yes, very light. I think that was the other thing I was keen, because I'm always carrying my kit around everywhere I go. Every
Yeah.
day I'm working in a different
That's good.
studio or a different film set or whatever. I wanted something lightweight. So these are about 60 grams lighter than GHDs, and then the dryer is about half the weight of
Yeah.
most hair dryers, you know.
So what's next for you?
Next up, we've got brushes coming.
Yeah.
So hair brushes, because obviously you can't do a decent blow dry without a decent brush.
Yeah, you have to have the other bit.
So we've been designing them for quite a while, but they are finished and signed off. So we're just literally waiting for them to be produced. But they're really nice. I mean, again, you know, most brushes are about this long, and if you've got hair that has to revolve around a brush 3 times, it falls off the ends of the brush. So we've done an extra long brush. We've done an extra long handle, which gives you slightly better purchase. The handle's got a little sectioning tool on it, so you can take sections. The bristles are short, so the brush can't get stuck in your hair. You know, there's loads of little things like that I've tried to make the perfect brush for me and therefore for other people, you know. And then we've got a really nice hot brush coming out at Christmas, which is, I don't really want to do... what Dyson are doing essentially is pushing air through everything. I'd rather use direct heat on dry hair. I think you get a shinier finish, you get less flyaways and less frizz. You look at that Dyson Air wrap, you know, where they put the Dyson thing in the hair, and then the hair gets sucked around it. But those are flyaways all
Yeah.
over the place
It's
as
still
well.
going.
You know, when I watch their content, I'm always thinking, yep, look at all the flyaways there, just what nobody wants, you know. So they're clever engineers, and they've made some clever products. But they're absolutely no use for me. I would never use them. They create too much flyaways and too much flatness. They've got this thing that gets rid of flyaways. And I always think, yeah, but it's made the hair literally like that.
Yes.
It's like, there's no flyaways, there's no bloody volume in the hair. It's like...
Not doing what it needs
you
to
know,
do, yeah.
For the one problem you solve, you end up creating another, you know. So the hot brush we've got is really nice. So it's like a big curling tong, but with bristles. But you can push a button and retract the bristles and then lock them inside. So you can use it as a kind of beach wave curler thing, or you can have the bristles and do essentially a dry blow dry. So you could take dry hair and make it look blow dried within probably 5 or 6 minutes.
Good.
But the
Sounds
big
good.
dream was to try and go cordless with everything, you know.
Right,
whereas
so that'd be the next
it's still
stage.
your hair anywhere. So that idea of your hair anywhere has still been copied.
But the products won't change, will they? They just become cordless.
They become cordless. So there's some new
Yeah.
battery technology due out called solid state batteries. I don't know if you're familiar with solid state
No,
batteries.
but yeah, fantastic.
In batteries at the moment, there's lithium ion, which is a liquid, which makes the batteries very effective, but it makes them run out quite quickly. And they're changing the liquid to solid. And these already exist in pacemakers and things like that. But in the next 2 or 3 years, they'll think they'll have what we call an 18750, which is a battery, a solid state.
Do the job, yeah.
Which will probably last 4 or 5 hours and take 20 minutes to charge. And that will literally free us up with cables. I mean, everyone else will do that as well, no doubt. Dyson's going a solid state battery company.
But they're your products still, and that's the whole point.
And James Dyson's,
Nice, well done, it's good.
I don't dislike Dyson. They've done us a favour, so I don't want to kind of...
Yeah, they've come up with a new concept.
Because they've opened up a whole new premium market, essentially, and have said, there are people out there willing to spend a lot of money on their hair, as you know. So they've done a good thing in the end. It just irritates me that I feel like they've slightly exploited the industry, my industry, and the people in it and the consumers in it. I mean, he doesn't need any more money, does he? It's outrageous, really.
I like the fact you're just trying to help people. You've seen some of the common problems and trying to make the products that fit and help people, so they don't have to go to the hairdresser every day. To look good.
And I think that's the thing to try and be authentic. I'm trying to be as authentic as possible. Is that I do genuinely want that for people.
Yeah.
And if I can earn a living while doing that, then great. But my primary goal is not really money. I think it's probably a bit of legacy,
Yeah.
I've been in the business a long time. I'd like to kind of think that I did something good here.
You can see that on your Instagram lives, like how much you want to help people.
Yeah.
I think that's amazing.
Yeah, good. Well, thank you, because it does mean a lot to me, that. And during lockdown, I was really struggling to make a living, because obviously all the hairdressers have been shut down. So I did this thing where I went live every day on Instagram for half an hour and just answered questions from people. And those people are still with me, they still message me at least once a week. And it might be the hair clinic we're doing or a new product. They've bought my products and everything. So I feel like there is a loyalty and an exchange, that they're still with me. So I still want to kind of treat them to my knowledge or experience, And it's an extremely rewarding thing to do that and have these people
still there for you.
Thank you for it. Yeah.
Well, a question for you. So, of course, we shave our head technically for a hair transplant.
Mm-hmm.
So I want to grow this out. I want to grow it to sort of your length. Should I get it cut yet?
No.
Just leave it.
You want to grow your hair? Just grow it.
Just leave it.
Just leave it. Yeah. Uh-huh. I mean, I get this a lot. People say you're supposed to cut your hair every 6 to 8 weeks to make it grow or whatever. It's like, who told you that?
Yeah.
You want your grass to grow? Don't cut the grass.
The old myth,
grow.
Wasn't it? Take off the split ends. Take off the split ends.
But the ends have got to be split. And if they're not, then you don't need to worry about it. So it's very, certainly with blokes' hair, I don't have a real. I'll just say to them, do not come and see me for 8 months.
Wow.
And then come and see me. I had this one guy kind of contact me all the time and saying, I'm going to a wedding in. Let's say he's going to a wedding in August, and he said, I had my head shaved in May, but I'd like a style for this wedding. Can I come and see you?
In May.
He'd
see me in May.
And then every week he'd send me a picture and said, it's grown a bit. Do you think you can do anything with it yet? And I'm like, no, there's nothing I can do with it, until you've got at least, 5 or 6 inches to play with, You need something, don't you?
Yeah.
So I would say that I would just not touch it, for half a year or something like that.
Yeah.
People always say, hey, what's the best advice? And I'd say, stop looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
Stop touching it. Stop looking in the mirror.
There you go.
Come and see me in 6 months' time, and we'll have a play around with it. I mean, I don't know if that's the advice you give or not, but I mean, this idea that you cut your hair and it gets thicker isn't necessarily true. But I guess if you've had a transplant, that could be true, because you're having new hair growth.
Of course. So you're going to have growth at different rates. So so when this is long, these will start coming through.
Yes.
And
the idea is that you could cut off the longer hair, and then that would match the new hair, and then essentially it would look thicker. So in theory, all that works. But I would be more inclined just to kind of say, just let your hair grow for a good 6 months or so.
We say
you've got something to play around with.
You can't really cut your hair until a month after anyway, so we advise not to. So, but that's what I think I'll do. Thank you.
That's all right.
Well, look, thank you for joining us today. I think you've been fantastic.
It's a total pleasure. It's very nice to meet you both, and thanks for all the information on hair transplants, because it is fascinating, and it's amazing how it's exploded over the last few years, and how more and more people are willing to talk about it. It's great. And you're obviously playing a big part in all of it.
And fans can get you by Your Instagram?
I love the fact you call them fans.
Yeah, they're fans these days.
Yeah, at MD London is on Instagram. Yeah, and we try and post content every day or every other day that's hopefully useful for people's hair.
Good, nice one.
But let's do a live soon.
Yeah.
On Insta, because I think I could rustle up a nice audience for that.
Definitely.
And, we could make a lot of noise around it as well.
Brilliant.
So yeah,
Thank you.
Sounds good. Thank you. Pleasure.
All good. Thanks very much. Yeah, good. Yeah.